Welcome back to my channel. Totally, it's a guide to learner here. This is Sriparna. Hope you all are doing good. In my last session, we had discussed the economic development, economic growth, the differences between economic growth and development. Okay, so today we are going to discuss another most important topic of economics, that is the concept of sustainable development. So if you have missed my previous session, so please go to my first comment and my description box where the channel's link is already shared. So you will get each and every video in my channel. I have another channel also, so which is basically purely Bengali educational channel named as Tutelage, a guide to UGC NET aspirants, which deals with the syllabus of the UGC NET examination. We will explain the both paper, the main paper and the general paper, but where main paper is education. Okay, so please do subscribe to my both channel. The first one is a tutelage, a guide to learner, which is English educational channel, and the second one is tutelage, a guide to UGC NET aspirants. This is a purely Bengali channel. I hope this will really helpful to everyone. So now move on the next slide where we can see what topic we will discuss today. So first one is the meaning of sustainable development. The second concept is need for sustainable development, and third and one of the most important concept of this session, that is the environmental degradation and its causes. So now let's start the session and move on the main slide. Here, this is the definition of the sustainable development. The concept of sustainable development came into prominence with the report of the World Commission of Environment and Development in 1987. Okay, so let's see the definition. So, sustainable development is a development that meets the needs of the present generation without compromising the ability of the future generation to meet their own needs. So in general, sustainability refers to meeting the needs of the present generation without compromising the needs of the future generation. So it is defined as a pattern of development that permits the future generation to live at least as well as the current generation or the present generation. Okay, so it looks at the issue of economic development in a larger perspective so as to ensure that the balance between the interest of the present and future generation is maintained. Okay, so sustainable development addresses both intergenerational and intragenerational equity, enabling all generations present and future to make the best use of their potential capabilities. And the main goal of the sustainable development is to achieve the reasonable and equitable position, okay, equitable distributed level of economic well-being that can be maintained continually for many human generations. So now we are going to discuss what is the main importance of the sustainable development. Basically, sustainable development encourages us to conserve and enhance our resources, to conserve and enhance our resources by gradually changing the manners in which we develop and use technology. So how can we maintain the sustainable development? Obviously, sustainable development is maintained when universalizing the access to basic needs. What is the basic needs of a people? Water, sanitization, sustainable energy, etc. So it basically, sustainable development helps to minimize the environmental problems and meets the needs of the present generation without compromising the ability of the future generation to meet their own needs. So now going to some features of the sustainable development. So what is the main feature of sustainable development? So one of the most important feature of sustainable development is it helps to improve the quality of life. So improve quality uh, of life. Obviously, it minimizes the depletion of the natural resources. It minimizes the environmental degradation. It minimizes the environmental problems and many more. So now move on the next. Okay. So here we can see sustainable development requires the constant or increasing stock of three capital. The first one is the natural capital, the second one is the physical capital, and third one is the human capital. So do you know, learner, what is the key condition or the necessary condition for achieving a sustainable development? Economic development is sustainable if and only if the stock of the capital assets, okay, remains constant or rises over time. So let us see the reasons in support of this. One of the most important factors which determine the long run development opportunities. The first one is the natural capital, second one is the physical capital, and third one is the human capital. So now going to the some examples of the natural capital. So here we can see some examples of natural capital. So the first one is the stocks of the natural resources and the environment, such as the quality resources, the air, water, soil, all are the examples of the natural capital. Stocks of the mineral resources, fisheries, forest reserves, so all things, air, water, soil, fisheries, ocean, mineral resources, all are the example of the natural capital. So now going to the next slide. So here this is the pictorial example, example of the obviously natural capital. So I think this is clear what do you mean by a natural capital. So air, soil, environmental things, forest reserves, fisheries, mineral reserves, all are the example of the natural capital. So now move on the next capital, that is the physical capital. So all types of plants, machine, tools, equipments, factories, infrastructure such as power, transport, all are the example of the physical capital. I think this is clear. So now move on the next, and this is the this is the pictorial example of the physical capital. This is the pictorial example of the physical capital. So now move on the next. So here this is the human capital. So human capital implies the education, skills, knowledge, and technical advancement. Okay, so capital asset, basically overall capital asset is sum of the total of these three assets: natural capital and the physical natural capital, physical capital, and the human capital. So therefore the sustainable development requires that the stock of these overall capital assets remain constant or rises over time, and this is the pictorial example of the human capital. Okay, so I think what do you mean by a sustainable development? And there are three types of capital. First one natural, second one physical, and third one human capital. All concepts are clear to everyone. So now move on the next concept, and here we can see the one of the most important topic for this session, that is the need for sustainable development. So let's start the explanation. Okay, so it is very important to know why there has been growing concern about sustainable development in recent years. Why do we talk about the sustainable development? In particular, why should we be interested in protecting the well-being of the future generation? The main reason for our emphasis on the sustainable economic development are as follows. So first one is the stock of the natural resources and the quality of environment are common heritage of all generations. So economic development and the overall quality of life basically depends on the stock of natural resources. Stock of natural resources like air, water, forest reserves, mineral resources, etc., and the quality of the environment. So stock of natural resources and the quality of environment are the common heritage for all generations. So therefore it is very much important that the all generations should have equal opportunities of using these resources. So hence if we use these resources indiscriminately, so to achieve the short term economic goals, so we would be penalizing the future generations. So when an increase in income today is brought about through the depletion of the natural resources and by environmental degradation by the present generation, so the future generation will be left with much depleted resources to produce output under polluted environmental conditions. Okay, I think the first point is clear. So now going to the second point, indiscriminate use of the natural resources by today's developed countries. So many industrialized developed countries of the world have a history of causing a rapid depletion of a stock of natural resources. So growth may be consuming its foundations by using resources indiscriminately, as evident by the depleting the natural resources and the polluted air, water, etc. Okay, it shows the present generation have pursued economic growth without giving due regard to the long term consequences. So this is of great concern for the future generations. So now going to the now going to the third point, the depletion of the stock of natural resources and the degradation of the environment being cost of development. So it is widely believed now sorry, that the depletion of the stock of natural resources and the degradation of the environment should be treated as a cost of development, and this cost must be deducted from the national income to know the growth rate in more realistic terms. In the past these costs have not been taken into the account, and it is because of this reason that the benefits of past development have been exaggerated. Okay, so now going to the fourth point, that is the quality of the environment determines the economic welfare of the present generation. So sustainable development is important for improving the quality of life of the present generation as well. Quality of the life depends on among other things health, long life, balanced diet, clean air, water, sanitation, hygienic environment, etc. So these require sufficient availability of the resources and the clean environment. Sustainable development would ensure that there is a sufficient availability of the natural resources for every generation and there is no environmental degradation. Okay, so need for preventing the environmental degradation can affect the goals of the development of the present generation as well. I think the need for sustainable development is clear to everyone. And now going to the next topic, that is the economic development, effects of the economic development on resources and environment. But going to the next topic, we have to discuss, so what do you mean by a economic development in a short note. So economic development is basically a process whereby the real per capita income of a country increases over a long period of time along with the reduction in the poverty, inequality and unemployment. Clear? So basically economic development is a growth process where a person can develop concerning physical, mental, social, emotional and moral, etc. So economic development includes all type of development of a person like physical, psychological, social, mental, emotional, etc. So I think the concept of economic development is clear to everyone. So if you have any doubt on it, so please go and check my description box and my first comment where the channel's link is already shared. So please check it once. Okay, so now move on the main topic, that is the effects of economic development on resources and environment. Okay, so the first point, that is the depletion of the natural resources. So we have already know what do you mean by a natural resources and all. So economic development has resulted in the depletion of the natural resources such as land, mineral resources. First, the industrial development has created a large demand for the natural resources for the mass production. So it leads to the depletion of the natural resources, particularly when there is limited availability of the natural resources such as mineral resources. Okay, secondly, the demand for agricultural land has increased due to the need for increasing agricultural production and due to population growth. So this has led to extensive cultivation, and that is increasing the area under cultivation, and this has caused the deforestation or environmental degradation. Okay, so I think the first point is clear. So now move on the second point, that is the water and the air pollution. So this is a very common thing. So industrialization and urbanizations have led to the problem of the water pollution. So water pollution occurs when some substances get mixed with the natural pure water so as to deteriorate the quality of the water, and polluted water leads to various waterborne diseases such as diarrhea, etc., and which mainly affect the children and poor people, because river water gets contaminated due to the industrial waste like heavy metals, toxic chemicals, and other hazardous waste being discharged into rivers. So water pollution is a very serious environmental problem for the people in the developing countries, because they do not have access to clean water. So it reflects poor quality of life. And now going to the air pollution, and air is one of the most vital natural resources required for the sustaining life on earth. In the course of economic growth, air pollution has increased mostly in the urban areas, largely because of the gaseous emissions from the industries, thermal power plants, automobiles, and the domestic combustion. Okay, so polluted air has created serious problems in the natural environment by bringing about the changes in the natural balance. So it has brought about the climatic changes also, and air pollution has also posed health problems such as asthma and other respiratory related disease, and most importantly cancer. So now move on the third point, that is a solid and hazardous waste. Okay, so the growth in population and urbanization have led to a tremendous increase in the solid waste in the form of organic waste from the human beings and animals, domestic waste, vegetables peels, vegetables, uh, etc., and the industrial waste like metal, oil spills, etc., like commercial waste like plastic packing, etc. So and most importantly the agricultural waste, so silt from irrigation practices, waste from farms, poultries, etc. In urban areas, thousands of tons of such waste are produced daily, which have to be safely disposed of. Inadequate collection and lack of effective disposal system have created a serious problem. So in many cases they have led to a spread of diseases, and this waste pollute groundwater resources as well. So now going to the fourth point, that is a soil erosion. So soil erosion causes the loss of topsoil layer due to the heavy rain. If there is a large loss of topsoil due to land erosion, the land may become unfit for supporting vegetation. It leads to fall in productivity due to deterioration of the quality of soil. So it is one of the most important effects of economic development on resources and environment. So now going to the fifth point, that is the deforestation. Okay, so forests are the immense importance in protecting the environment. We have already known that thing. So they are often referred to as the lungs of the earth, because trees, with help of the process of the photosynthesis, absorb carbon dioxide and give out oxygen. And in the course of the economic development, the huge areas of virgin forest have been cleared for agricultural, mining, and the industrial activities. So, deforestation has led to soil erosion, resulting in the occurrence of the floods and the loss of crops. Secondly, deforestation has altered the hydrological cycle, altering the amount of water in the soil and the groundwater and the moisture the air. So it has led to decrease in the rainfall. And third one is deforestation has led to increase in the greenhouse gases in the atmosphere, thereby causing global warming. And now going to the next, that is use of chemical fertilizers and pesticides. So in the course of agricultural development, the use of chemical fertilizers and the pesticides has increased tremendously in order to augment agricultural productivity. It has caused serious health hazards and the environmental problems. Okay, so now move on the next one, that is the loss of biodiversity. So biological diversity or biodiversity refers to the composite of the species and ecosystem. So millions of species collectively perform the different functions that help in maintaining the delicate ecological balance on earth. So biological diversity provides various products such as food, fiber, medicine, raw materials for the industrial production. So however, the human activities have eroded the world's diversity of plants and animals. Some species have disappeared and many have been greatly reduced in number also. So ruthless deforestation has led to a loss of a large number of animal and plant species. So that's why this is one of the important effects. So now going to the last one, that is the global warming, and which is one of the most important things. So indiscriminate industrialization, urbanization, and the environment pollution are bringing about the certain changes in the atmosphere on a global scale, and these may cause the hazards for the future generations. So the major hazard has emerged in the form of the greenhouse effect and the global warming arising their form. Okay, so global warming basically refers to the increase in the temperature of the earth resulting from the certain gases, especially the carbon dioxide, which trap the heat of the sun. And global warming has led to melting of glaciers. It will lead to rise in the sea level. Loss of coastal land will have adverse effect on the economic life of people living in coastal area. Global warming will lead to widespread change in the global temperature. Some regions would see the dramatic increase in the rainfall and others would face drought with meagre rainfall. So these would affect the agricultural and natural vegetation. And changes in the global temperature patterns would lead to change in the redistribution of the plants and animals. So economic development has inflicted various damages to the environment and the natural resources. I think this topic is clear to everyone. So now we are going to the next slide. Here we can see the environmental degradation. So environmental degradation basically what? So environmental degradation is the disintegration of the earth or the deterioration of the environment through the consumption of the assets, through the consumption of the capital assets. So environmental degradation is the deterioration of the environment, okay, disintegration of the earth. Okay, for example, any kind of destruction of environments and eradication of wildlife is the example of the environmental degradation. I think this is an easy topic of economics. What do you mean by environmental degradation? It implies the deterioration of the environment in simple sense. Okay, so now move on the next. So here we can see the pictorial example of the environmental degradation, and now going to the main topic, that is the causes of depletion of the resources and environment degradation. So a number of factors are responsible for the depletion of resources and environment degradation in the course of economic growth. The first and the one foremost important cause, that is the industrialization. Okay, so industrialization is an essential part of an program of economic growth. It has created a large demand for raw materials, and this has put pressure on the natural resources like agricultural resources, mineral resources, so resulting in the depletion of the natural resources. So industrialization has also led to industrial pollution in various ways. We have already told that part. Industrialization has resulted in the emission of the greenhouse gases into the atmosphere, leading to rise in global temperature. It has led to water pollution due to discharge of chemicals and the industrial effluents into rivers and other water bodies. So industrialization has created a large demand for energy, which is provided by the thermal and the hydropower. This has led to depletion of the mineral resources such as the coal, disappearance of the rivers and land due to the construction of the large dams. Thus, the industrialization, which required the large quantity of the natural resources for mass production, has resulted in the depletion and the degradation of the natural resources. And now going to the second point, that is the urbanization, and which is one of the most important thing. Industrialization is accompanied by the urbanization always. In fact, industrialization and urbanizations go hand in hand. As cities grow, spread, there is increased demand for residential houses to accommodate the increasing population of the urban areas. Agricultural land, forest land have been encroached. This has adverse effect on the natural environment. Urbanization has added to the problem of air and water pollution also. An increase in number of vehicles in the urban areas has led to air pollution due to vehicular emissions, and ever-growing urban population has led to water pollution due to discharge of urban waste into rivers and other water bodies. Okay, so solid and hazardous waste etc. have led to water and air pollution. And now move on the third point, that is the population growth. So a large increase in the human population is also responsible for the depletion of the resources and the economic degradation. So a very large tract of forest and grasslands has been converted into the agricultural land to provide food for the exploding population. So as population increases, there is increased demand for energy. So fossil fuels meet the bulk of our energy demand in the urban areas, while fuel wood is used in the rural areas. So the indiscriminate use of our energy sources is responsible for their rapid depletion of the environment. And now move on the fourth one, that is the agricultural development. Agricultural development is also responsible for the depletion of the resources and environmental degradation. So the area under the cultivation has increased so as to increase the agricultural production, and this has resulted in the deforestation, has thereby led to environmental degradation. High yielding varieties of seeds have been introduced to increase agricultural productivity, and it requires huge amount inputs of irrigation water, chemical fertilizers, chemical pesticides. So indiscriminate use of chemical fertilizers, pesticides in modern agriculture has definitely increased of agricultural yields, but it has led to severe environmental hazards as well. So now move on the last point, that is the technological progress. So modern technology has created a large demand for resources for more production. So more production and easy access to products have led to increased demand for various products by the consumer. So mass scale production and the excess production have led to large scale wastage while using the resources. This has resulted in the depletion of the resources. I think the causes of depletion of resources and the environmental degradation concept is clear to everyone. Now we are done for the today's session. I will come again with a new session. So today we have discussed sustainable development, environmental degradation, and the causes of environmental degradation and effects of the economic development. So if you like my video, so please one like, one comment, and one subscribe. So please do some support and subscribe to my channel for getting another new session. Keep commenting. Thank you all. Happy